Hi, and welcome to your Presenting with Confidence e-course. My name's Chaz, and that's me you can see on the photograph presenting. That photo was taken at the National Exhibition Centre in Birmingham, here in the UK, and my audience was a group of learning and development professionals attending a conference. Tough crowd. I'd like to think that I look pretty relaxed on the photograph and I'm well into the flow of my delivery. That wasn't always the case though, and my very first presentation, which was a good few years ago, was a complete mess. I couldn't speak properly, I forgot my content, and I made inappropriate jokes throughout the presentation. It really did not go down well at all, and I found myself called into my boss's office to explain. This all took place while I was serving in the army. And the army expects its people to develop their presentation skills so that when you become senior enough, you'd be able to present to groups of soldiers without appearing nervous. I didn't appreciate it at the time. That makes perfect sense. If I'm trying to coax a group of soldiers into a stressful or combat situation and I appeared nervous or frightened, that would transfer itself to them. So my fear of speaking in public would then translate into not being particularly motivating going into that situation. And since that first presentation, I've had plenty of practice. So much so that presentations are a huge part of my work, and I've come to enjoy presenting and interacting with audience. I can't guarantee that you'll get to that level directly after this course. I'll only say that this will get you on the way. As you go through the course, you will need your workbook, your course book, and a pen or pencil to write in them. Now this course has been broken down and it's going to cover the following: why you can't ignore presentation skills, which is this first aspect of it, best practices in presenting, crafting an elevator pitch. Now you might be thinking, why do we need that? We will all need one at some point, and I'll go through that later. Building an engaging presentation, and finally, building a persuasive sales presentation. I'd go through these one lesson at a time, and you can make notes, do some personal practice, and then come back to the course at your leisure. If you do have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. I'll give you the address at the end of this first session. So why is it that we can't ignore presentation skills? Well, there's a whole myriad of reasons. Think about what's going on in our world at the moment, though, in terms of what we have to do for work. A lot of it is based around communication. And presentation skills come to the fore in a variety of circumstances. I've coached people recently who need to do a presentation as part of an interview process. So it might be that you need to be a good presenter in order to get the job that you want. Students need to present in front of their peers and their tutors as part of their coursework. So you might need to do this in order to get the qualification that you're working for. At some point you may need to sell something. The chances are that's going to happen at some point in your life. You may need to present to co-workers, your board of directors, anybody. And if you can't present confidently, then your impact is going to be way lower than you'd like it to be. A comedian, Jerry Seinfeld, had this to say about our fear of public speaking and what it does to us. A recent survey stated that the average person's greatest fear is having to give a speech in public. Somehow this ranked even higher than death, which was only third on the list. So you're telling me that at a funeral, most people would rather be the guy in the coffin than have to stand up and give a eulogy. Now, whether that's accurate or not, it is certainly a fact that 99% of people do not enjoy public speaking. It is a key skill, though, that we must master, as for the reasons that I've just mentioned, in order for you to succeed. This is true not only of high stakes presentations, but also in the way you present yourself to your audience, whoever that might be. Now, with our fear comes a whole host of physical symptoms. Fear manifests itself in our bodies. Think about the last time you were really fearful, and think about some of the sensations that came upon you. Did you have that knot in your stomach? Did you have that just weight on your shoulders? What was it? These things can happen, and it doesn't matter what size of group you're playing to. I was delivering a live version of this course a while back, and there was only 4 delegates on the course. Even with only 3 other people to present to and me, everybody was still extremely nervous. And that really got to people, and they couldn't figure out why. I mean, they had heart palpitations, they were shaking, they had a dry mouth, or they just went blank. Even in front of small informal groups, that's what happened. And this can make you just think, well, you know what? I'm going to avoid that completely. I am not going to do it at all. That could be detrimental, both to your life generally and, of course, your career. Because it can limit your opportunities. If you're a small business owner or entrepreneur, this type of fear can be really problematic. If you have to give an elevator pitch in front of a group of like-minded business people, and yet you can't bring yourself to talk to them, you're not going to get much business. It can limit the types of opportunities you have to build your credibility and pitch your services to an employer. Anyone, though, can overcome the fear of public speaking by learning some effective calming tips and by practicing proven presentation techniques. There are some people that claim that they don't suffer from public speaking anxiety. I'd love to say that I'm one of them, however, I'm not. I think most good presenters have something in them, whether it's an anxiety, whether it's an excitement, call it what you will, but there's something inside that when you get out onto the stage, you want to transfer. If you haven't got enthusiasm or excitement and you get out onto a stage and you start to present, the chances are you're going to come across as dull as ditch water. And you really can't afford to do that. You really need to transfer whatever it is that's going on with you to your audience. If you're excited, there's more of an opportunity for your audience to be excited too. Communication, though, is everything. Literally everything. Whether you're employed, whether you're an employer, whether you're a small business, or whatever it is, communication is literally the foundation of all business success. Totally. Whether that's your verbal communication, your non-verbal communication, whatever. And if you can improve your skills, as it says there, the impact can only be positive. So congratulations on buying this. You've taken quite a huge step in improving your own skills. Now, learning presentation skills will allow you to appear more confident and collected in front of your audience. It will reduce your anxiety and it could make it disappear. Although you could turn it round. From anxiety, you could turn it into excitement. At the very least, you'll be able to control and channel it. Most good public speakers will admit to being either nervous or excited when speaking in front of groups, but they do know how to keep it from controlling them. And that's something that we will cover as we go through this course. And indirectly, public speaking or improved public speaking will improve your sales, your reputation, how you're seen among your competitors and peers, and your standing in the marketplace. If you're a more proficient public speaker, you'll be invited to speak more often, which then will turn you into a thought leader in your field. And it's amazing, isn't it, how this virtuous circle of being invited to speak more builds your reputation and your credibility, and you get more work. Well worth doing. So throughout this course, this is what we're going to look at. We're going to look at applying these practices to any situation. We're going to build a compelling elevator pitch. Now, if you're a small business person, you'll know exactly what this is. If you're somebody that's just doing this for the sake of improving your own presentation skills, why would you need an elevator pitch? Well, it's simple. Think of an interview. If somebody ever says to you in an interview, tell me a little bit about yourself in 30 seconds, that's your elevator pitch. Creating an engaging presentation. Oh wow, how do you do that? Whoa, how do you structure it? This is what we're going to look at. We'll look at a persuasive sales pitch, and there is definitely a slightly different formula to a sales pitch than there is to actually a regular presentation. And then what we'll do is we're going to create a plan to improve your skills. As I said, if you do have any questions, please feel free to drop me an email at the address you can see on your screen. I'm not going to say I'll get back to you within 10 minutes. I will certainly get back to you within 24 hours, unless it's a weekend or holiday period. Then it might be slightly longer. Ask any questions you like. Feel free to fire anything in that you want. And finally, for this particular session, 2 learning activities for you. Just think of some of the really great presentations you've seen. If you've ever watched any of the Dragon's Den pitches or TED Talks or anything like that, what was it that really impressed you about their presentations? What was it that made you think, wow, that was great? And similarly, think of some of the really terrible presentations you've seen. What was it about those presenters? What was it about their delivery that made you think, please don't make me watch this? There will be something. Once you've had a look at that, once you've done that activity and noted some good speakers and some bad speakers down, come back and have a look at the second part of the course. Or if you need to ask me a question, feel free to do that, and we can get to that, and you can get on and start improving your skills. See you on the next set.